Hi, I'm Ian from Oak and Chain. The second of a couple posts I'm going to be making today before I start working on Project 13. What's that? I don't know, none of your goddamn business. Not yet, anyway. So, I've been thinking about this for a couple weeks. It's been a while since I've actually had time to sit down and not only record a video for my YouTube channel, but also upload the goddamn thing, which takes forever. So, today's rant, getting right to it. Wish.com. It fucking sucks. I fucking hate Wish.com. It pisses me off. And if you're like me, and by like me, I mean you're a hobby artist, you're trying to sell your wares, you're trying to sell your wire wrap jewelry and your crystal stones, your necklaces and so on and so forth on Etsy or on Instagram, you should fucking hate the shit out of Wish.com too. So, let's back up a little bit here. If I had nothing to do with my creative inclinations and my tinkerings and my hobby arts and my making my jewelry and so on and so forth, Wish.com probably wouldn't bother me in the slightest. It's not a new thing. I'm the king of jumping on subjects and topics, sort of like the last one to do so, because I'm not super duper internet savvy, I guess. But sort of recently, it was actually my mother-in-law started talking about how she started ordering beads and knickknacks and stuff on Wish.com because she, in addition to sewing custom purses and denim bags and stuff like that, also does her own jewelry, typically like beaded jewelry and things of that nature. So she somehow got turned on to Wish.com, I think through Instagram, and was ranting and raving about it, how essentially the beads and the bits and the parts and the connectors and stuff and the wire and the loops and strings and stuff she was buying cost practically nothing, like basically free. You were essentially paying 90% of the total cost was for the shipping, which is also like not terrible. And then you got a box of stuff that cost pennies on the dollar essentially. And I kind of thought, you know, for her, she's a retiree. Between you and me, she doesn't sell an awful lot. She's a lovely woman, but you know, so I'm, you know, it made me happy. I'm like, great, you found it. She lives out in the middle of the country in Austria. There's not a whole lot of places where she can go in person and support the local small business to buy stuff. She really doesn't have another option. And so I thought that was really cool. So then at some point, my wife decided to kind of take a look herself at Wish.com. And one night we were sitting in bed and she's looking on her phone and playing with the cats or whatever. And she kind of said, well, you got to look at this. I mean, you won't believe all the shit that's on this fucking website. Like, it's incredible. And so we started looking through it. And at one point, she actually did this was about 3 weeks ago, she did a test order. So for some stuff that she wanted to work on, some crystal beads and a couple little odds and ends. And I think in total it was about 8-9 items or something like that. And at the end, she showed me the total and it was just, like I said, it was about 3/4 of the total cost was the shipping, and the items themselves were practically free. When she was in the process of ordering, the Wish.com would send a message saying, hey, you know, we saw you order this. Do you want to add this on for free? Or do you want to add this on for like a cent or whatever? It was pretty bonkers, and we both thought that was pretty bizarre. Then one day on my commute, I kind of uploaded the Wish.com app on my phone, and I started scrolling through all the stuff they had that was of interest to me, like, you know, jewelry and stuff pertaining to pagan and witchcraft and things of that nature. They had just like so much different stuff, and it was just bonkers cheap. And at one point, I even briefly played around with the idea of maybe doing an order of pagan-y, witchy kind of trinkets and necklaces and stuff to throw in as free gifts to people that support and Oak and Chain and order from me and stuff. And thought about it. And then, to be totally honest, the more I thought about it, the more pissed off I got. And I'll tell you a couple reasons why. The first one is, I started to think back to, like, obviously, when you're selling jewelry, say, on Instagram, and your hashtags are all related to that, you tend to see people who do jewelry and arts and crafts and stuff tend to all sort of see each other because they have common likes and interests, so they tend to see each other's feeds and so on, and you know, you get the idea. So I tend to see a lot of what other people are putting out now. I can't think of any off the top of my head, and I wouldn't name them by name anyways. I'm not a total asshole. But they're absolutely 100% people that have online shops, whether it's with Etsy or not, because I think technically with Etsy this is a no-no, who are buying shit from Wish.com, marking it up and reselling it to you guys. This is not a conspiracy. This is an absolute fucking fact. And that kind of pisses me off. And not that, I mean, hey, buyer beware. I'm not pissed off in the sense that they're trying to like mislead people or lie to people. I don't think anyone's saying, you know, hey, I got this really cool necklace with the hammer of Thor on it for, you know, $15 US that they bought for $1 US on Wish.com. I don't think anyone's saying it's absolutely not from Wish.com. So I don't think anyone's deliberately lying or misleading. What I'm trying to say to you is that when I make something, I make it with like blood and sweat, and I put my heart into it. It is a true handmade work of love. And I know it sounds a bit cheesy as I hear myself say it, but that's the truth of it. When you buy anything from someone like myself or any of the other artists in the Instagram online social media community, you can be guaranteed you're getting something like handmade that's sort of special, that someone put some thought, had inspiration, made this. Like, I think that has a lot more meaning to it. So when I see someone just buying cartons and boxes of cheap garbage from China, and what was the term my wife used? Like curating these things from Wish.com for purposes of resale to people who don't know any better. That's pretty shady. I think that's pretty gross. So I also want to mention, like, I know I don't have a huge audience, and if I did, I would be absolutely expecting some bonehead to like start hate slamming me with a bunch of contradictory shit. Like, well, what about people that don't have enough money? Well, you're not ever can afford your stuff. Yeah, I'm not talking about people like that. You know, like, for example, not to get too far off track here, but if you're in Europe, you know we have a chain of clothing stores here called Primark. Primark is essentially the Wish.com of clothing, but it is like physical actual stores, great big huge stores, all over Germany, and there's a couple in Austria too, based out of Ireland, I think. Now, the thing about that is, you can go in there and buy a cheap pair of jeans for like $5. You can go in and buy a pair of shoes for like $1. Like, it's totally cheap. Anytime you go in one of these stores, it is bonkers full. Like, it is completely insane. And you see people literally walking out of there, the whole family, with 3 bags of clothing. Now, if you're, for example, a poor family or refugees or low income or single mom or something, and you can't afford clothes, fuck yeah, hey, that's, you know, it concerns me a little bit when you see about once a year something that they produce that causes skin cancer because it's so shittily produced. But hey, you know, like there's a demographic out there. I get it. I am not criticizing you. So let's be very clear about that, 100%. I think the thing you got to think about, there's a million things you should think about when you're talking about, for example, this type of cheaply made product. And one of them is, for example, the Primark example, think about this for like a pair of jeans for $10. I'm not sure if I could buy the denim or like a decent quality denim for $10 enough to make a pair of jeans. I don't know. I'm not a sewer, but I'm imagining that's a bit of a stretch. Not to mention sewing them, manufacturing them, shipping them literally halfway across the globe. And the company still manages to make, if they're the same as other clothing outlets, a 40 to 50% markup. Can't even get my head around it. Don't even understand it. Like, it makes no sense to me. And to me, like, Wish.com is a similar type of thing. Like, you know, people who are, like, now that my eyes are open to it, I'm fairly sure if you go to, like, a medieval fair, if you go to some of these, like in Europe, you see a lot of these markets and fairs for just about every statutory holiday, and there's always a couple jewelry places in there, and you can tell it's cheaper jewelry. It's not the most quality item you've ever seen in your life. And this is either from Wish.com or like a similar type of distributor. And I tend to kind of look and see, and like, it's so clearly evident that the quality is just not there. And for me personally, it's just like, I wouldn't waste my money on something like that. I mean, for no other reason. But if, you know, again, I'm not criticizing people that can't afford to come to, you know, an Etsy store like mine. And by the way, I'm fairly reasonably priced. Like, I have a couple pieces. I think my most expensive piece at the moment is maybe 60 or 70 euros, so about 80, 90 US. I think on average we're looking at about 20, 30 euros, so about 25, 35 US is my most expensive. But still, you know, hey, I get it. There's a galactic difference between buying something that, if you're rather indifferent to it, well, that looks kind of neat from Ian, but he wants with shipping about $50 for that. I can get that for about 20 with shipping. I get like 3 or 4 of them from China, so I know where I'm going. If you're, I'm not criticizing everyone. I'm just saying, if you are like me, like I said, actively trying to create and sell pieces, regardless if you do it part-time like myself or full-time, this is something you need to be a lot more pissed off about if you're not. Because Wish.com is fucking with all of us. Because if we're trying to reach people online through social media, Wish.com is also on the fucking internet. So it's not beyond the realm of comprehension that someone that doesn't already know about it's going to find out about it pretty fucking quick. And if you're already kind of struggling with your sales, I promise you this, when someone finds out they can go and buy shit by the fucking pound on Wish.com, a lot of them might not give a shit about your heart and soul put in on the creativity and this, that, and the next thing. It's fucking gross. It just pisses me off. And to the people who have the option, who just decide to go cheap and crappy in terms of getting more quantity, it's a universal rule. There is no quantity and quality. You kind of get one or the other. So what I'm telling you is this: when you order from Wish.com or a similar wholesaler, you are saying yes to shitty workers' rights and working conditions, because I can fucking promise you that people are banging out this cheap garbage for your shit aren't loving life in their jobs, okay? Number 2, you're also saying no to sometimes fair trade, to taxation laws that allow outside sellers from outside of the company to basically set up shop and do business around the world through the internet, and yet contribute virtually nothing in terms of taxation and therefore to the betterment of your country, wherever it is that you live. That's a big issue. That's a big controversy right now, actually, with Amazon in Europe, I know. You're saying no to the environment because, I'm sorry, but emissions laws and environmental protection laws in China are rather medieval compared to the Western world. And this is why they are a manufacturing superhouse, like super powerhouse, because they can set up these giant factories and pump out this shit like it's cool, because they don't have to abide by the same regulations, monetary fines, and this, that, and the next thing pertaining to environmental protection, worker protection, so on and so forth. So you're contributing to that. Who knows? Who knows what else you're contributing to? Possibly child labor. I don't even know. And you're absolutely saying hell no to small independent business. And I think that one of the things I really love about being in Europe is Europe, for example, essentially said hands down, flat out no to things like Walmart. And it's beautiful to go around a city like Vienna and see so much independent small business, independent stores that have been in families sometimes for well over 100 years. And that makes me so happy, because that's basically virtually non-existent now in, say, for example, like Vancouver, Canada, where we were living before. It's all basically huge chains and so on and so forth. But like, if you're the kind of person, say, for example, jumps on the bandwagon when someone posts that a piece or a pin they created got copied by the accessory line from one of these big fashion stores, that happens pretty regularly, you absolutely ought to be like waving torches and pitchforks over Wish.com, because it just basically, love it or hate it, it contributes nothing to us as independent artists. It only serves to be detrimental to us and what we're trying to accomplish. There's no way, shape, or form about it, because I'm sorry, given people the option, they're more likely to go cheap and bulk than they are to support something that's definitely a lot more meaningful and there's a lot more heart and soul in it. That's just human nature. And when it's done out of necessity, as I mentioned, not criticizing you. You know, you want something nice, you got nothing, you're working 3 jobs, you have 3 kids at home, single mom, do it. I'm not criticizing you whatsoever. But for those that have the option, decide they'd rather go cheap and bulk, they're not, they're just basically feeding a giant monster that's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and is making it more and more difficult to do something which is already extremely difficult, which is trying to become a full-time online seller. And yeah, initially, like I say, even I was initially a little bit begeistered by it, the idea of it. And then the more I thought about it, and some people might, even my wife thinks I'm overreacting a little bit, but I think Wish.com is gross just on every level. And I will say this one more time, I really want to emphasize this. If you are another fellow Etsy seller or online jewelry seller, and you are buying shit from Wish.com to resell to people, you're a piece of shit. I'm sorry, I'll get right in your face about it. I'll tell you this on the street. You're buying shit from Wish.com to flat out, straight out resell to people with markup, you're a piece of shit. You got no business being on the fucking internet. If I come across you on Etsy, I'm reporting your ass, you're getting the fuck off of Etsy, because that's for us. That's for people that are putting their heart and soul into their work and making real shit. So just putting that out there. So for all of you that do support myself, support my fellow Etsy sellers, I am so grateful. I know, speaking for myself, I'm unbelievably grateful. Anytime someone gives me their hard-earned money for something that I make, I'm blown away. I just love it. It makes me feel so happy, fills me with such a wonderful feeling, and I'm super appreciative about that. So anyways, that's my insane rant about Wish.com. Wish.com, piece of shit. And that's that. I hope you have a great day. I got to start working on Project 13, and we'll talk to you probably, if not before, next weekend. All right, take care.